My daughter invited 200 people to her wedding, but she forgot to invite me, her own mother. When I asked her why, she said, "This is a fancy party. A poor woman like you doesn't belong there." I just smiled. On her wedding day, I flew there in my own helicopter, landed right in the garden, and told everyone the real truth. The wedding stopped in just 15 minutes. Before we start, please click the heart button and tell me in the comments what your favorite color is. My phone started ringing while I was baking cookies in my small kitchen. It was a sunny Tuesday morning. The light came through my window and made everything look golden and pretty. I almost didn't pick up the phone. Mom, I have the best news ever. Marcus asked me to marry him last night. We're getting married. My daughter Emily's voice sounded so happy and excited, but something felt strange about it, like she practiced what to say before calling me. That's wonderful, my sweet girl. I'm so proud and happy for you. I know. Can you meet us for lunch today? There's a nice place called the Golden Spoon. Can you come at 2 o'clock? She said us. Not him. Not Marcus, the man I didn't know anything about until right now. Us, like they were already one team and I was standing outside looking in. Yes, I'll be there, I told her. 2 hours later, I drove my old blue car to the Golden Spoon restaurant and saw a shiny black car in the parking lot. It was brand new and very expensive looking. I parked my car far away, got out and looked at myself in a car window. I was wearing simple pants, a plain shirt, and comfortable old shoes. Normal clothes, safe clothes. Exactly what I chose to wear for the past 4 years. Through the restaurant window, I could see Emily sitting across from a man in a fancy dark suit. She was laughing and touching his arm, looking happier than I'd seen her since before my husband Tom died. The man turned when I walked up, and his eyes looked at me from head to toe, like he was checking what I was worth. 2 seconds. That's all it took for his face to change into something I recognized. Polite but cold. "Mrs. Peterson, nice to finally meet you. Emily talks about you." Marcus Thompson's handshake was quick and firm, over before it really started. His smile showed perfect white teeth, but his eyes were empty. "That's a classic car you have. Really old, right? Those cars last forever, don't they?" The way he said classic sounded like he was being polite but really meant something mean. Emily played with her napkin nervously, watching Marcus's face more than looking at me. I sat down across from them and felt the old worn seat beneath me. I noticed the menu had very expensive food on it. Expensive enough to impress people, but not so expensive that Marcus would have to pay much. Smart planning. "So tell me about yourself, Marcus," I said. "I work with money and help big companies. I help them manage their money better." He looked at his expensive watch quickly, like he wanted me to notice it but tried to make it look natural. "Keeps me very busy." Emily jumped in fast, her voice too loud and cheerful. "We're thinking September 15th for the wedding. I know that's really soon, but Marcus is very busy with work, and we found this perfect place to get married. It's going to be so beautiful, Mom. Really fancy and elegant. The kind of wedding Dad would have loved to see." When she mentioned Tom, it felt like someone hit my chest hard. I looked at Emily and saw my husband's face in hers. Tom, the man who married me when I was just a waitress working late nights, who believed in me when I had nothing at all. Tom had dreamed about this day, talked about it during quiet nights when it was just us two. He wanted Emily to marry someone good, to be happy, to have everything we built together. But this moment felt empty and wrong. "We're thinking about getting married at the Crystal Gardens," Emily continued, looking at Marcus to see if he agreed. "It's by the beach in Miami. The views are amazing and so pretty." I knew the Crystal Gardens. Course I knew it, but I said nothing at all. Marcus leaned back and cut into his steak with perfect knife movements. "These weddings cost a lot of money fast. The place, the food, the flowers. Easily $50,000 or $60,000 for something nice. But you only get married once, right? Usually parents pay for it. That's how families do things." His words hung in the air like a demand, but he didn't say it directly. Emily wouldn't look at my eyes. Her hand reached for Marcus's arm, looking for comfort from him instead of from me. The waiter came over, filled our water glasses, and left. Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at it and his lips got tight. "Excuse me, it's work." He stood up, kissed Emily's forehead. "I'll be back in 5 minutes." The second he left, Emily's shoulders dropped down a little bit. She looked at me and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Shame. Not shame about Marcus. Shame about me. "Mom, I know the wedding costs a lot of money. We're not expecting you to pay for everything, but if you could help, even just a little bit. I'm so happy for you, sweetheart. Your father waited years to see this day. I wish he could be here with us." Emily's face got softer for a moment, but then she looked at my old collar and my rough hands holding the water glass. The soft look disappeared. "Whatever you need for the wedding, I'll help you. You should have a beautiful day." "Thank you, Mom." Her relief sounded more like checking off a list than real thankfulness. Marcus came back with his phone in his hand and put it face up on the table. Numbers about money glowed on the screen. A power move, showing his world was bigger and more important than our little family lunch. "Oh good. Emily asked. "Always is." He smiled at her and squeezed her shoulder. Then he turned to me. "So, Mrs. Peterson, you're retired now, right? Emily mentioned you used to work at hotels and restaurants." "Used to work. Past time. Like I was just an old story that was over and done." "That's right," I said. The lunch ended with handshakes and promises to talk soon about wedding things. I walked back to my old car while they got into their shiny, expensive car. Emily waved through the dark window. I waved back. The drive home took 20 minutes. I held the steering wheel tighter than I needed to, feeling Tom's wedding ring on a chain under my shirt, pressing against my chest. I always wore it there. Emily's nervous laugh kept playing in my head over and over. Marcus's mean looks burned behind my eyes. The sick feeling in my stomach got worse with every mile I drove. My daughter was embarrassed of me. I pulled into my driveway and sat in the dark car while the engine made ticking sounds as it cooled down. The small house stared back at me with peeling paint, a messy lawn, and a rusty mailbox leaning to one side. The house I chose on purpose after Tom died. The house that hid who I really was. Inside, the quiet and silence waited for me. 3 days later, Emily's car showed up in my driveway. It was Thursday afternoon with the sun beating down hard. I watched from my living room window as she sat in her car, not moving for 30 seconds. She was trying to be brave. Her eyes looked at the peeling paint on my porch, the weeds growing through the cracked sidewalk, the rusty mailbox. Things that proved what she believed. Her mother was struggling and poor. She finally got out of the car, smoothed her pretty dress, and said something to herself quietly. I opened the door before she could knock. Her hug felt stiff and quick, not real. "Your flowers look nice." The lie hung between us like a cloud. The flowers looked terrible and we both knew it. "Come in, sweetheart. Do you want some tea?" We sat at my kitchen table. She held an old chipped cup I'd had for 20 years. She looked around the room at my old furniture, my small TV, and my worn carpet. Each look was a small judgment, building proof in her mind that I was barely getting by with money. I wanted to talk more about the wedding. She started carefully. "Marcus and I found the perfect place, the Crystal Gardens by Miami Beach. It's expensive, I know, but it's the kind of place his work friends expect to see." I said nothing. I just watched her face closely. "His business partners will be there. Important rich people. We need everything to be perfect and fancy." She pulled out her phone and swiped through pictures. Really good catering, a live music band, flowers from this amazing flower shop, a professional photographer to take pictures, someone to make a video, the whole package. "How much money are we talking about, sweetheart?" Emily put down her phone and looked into my eyes. $50,000. "I know that's a whole lot of money. If you can't do it, I understand. Marcus has savings, but his parents are helping pay too, and it would mean so much if you could match them. For Dad's memory." She used Tom like a weapon, knowing it would hurt me deep, and it did, but not for the reasons she thought. I pulled out a simple notepad and wrote down the numbers she said, acting like a struggling mother carefully counting her last bit of money. Jennifer watched me write, her face showing hope mixed with doubt. She checked her phone once, twice, 3 times. Probably messages from Marcus asking how it was going. I'll do it, I said. Emily's head popped up fast. What? I'll send the money tomorrow. Your father saved money for years dreaming about your wedding day. He'd want you to have everything perfect and beautiful. Confusion crossed her face fast. How would a retired woman living in this little house get $50,000? But relief quickly buried the question. She stood up, came around the table, and hugged me harder this time. Thank you, Mom. You don't know what this means to me. But her thank you felt hollow and empty, like she was already thinking about what else she could add with the surprise money. She left 15 minutes later with promises to call soon that dissolved into nothing. I watched her car disappear down the street, then went to my computer in the spare bedroom. I opened my banking app, typed in my password, and the transfer screen loaded. From my checking account, the one Emily knew existed, the one I kept with exactly $75,000, so it looked believable. I scheduled $50,000 to her account. Enough to make it look like everything I had. Below that account, hidden in tabs I didn't open, other accounts held millions and millions of dollars, untouched and invisible to everyone. That evening, I sat on my back porch with a framed picture of Tom. It was from our Crystal Gardens opening day 16 years ago. We stood in front of the beautiful venue, cutting a ribbon, surrounded by friends and people who invested money. Tom's smile was so big and happy. We'd built something amazing together. 9 wedding venues across South Florida. The Crystal Gardens was our crown jewel, our best one. Tom had said we should raise Emily humbly, teach her good values, keep her grounded even though we had lots of money. After Tom died, I made a big decision. Live simply and modestly. See who valued me for myself, not for my money. 4 years of pretending to be poor, watching relationships show their true colors. Emily had passed every test until now. Voices came from the front of my house. I stood up and walked quietly through the dim kitchen. Emily was on the porch talking on her phone. She thought I was inside and couldn't hear. She just gave it to me. All $50,000. No questions at all. Marcus's voice came through the speaker, tinny and small. I couldn't hear his exact words, but his tone was mocking and mean. I know, right? That's probably all the money she has left. Emily laughed, sharp and cold. God, I hope she doesn't expect some big special role at the wedding now. Marcus, your partners are going to be there. We can't have her showing up in those clothes looking like. She stopped talking mid-sentence and looked toward the door. I stepped back into the shadows. Her voice got quieter, but I caught pieces of words. Small table in the very back. Maybe just the ceremony part. We'll figure something out. She ended the call, walked to her car, and drove away. I stood in the dark kitchen holding Tom's picture. The conversation kept playing over and over in my head. I went back to the porch and sat in the darkness. The Crystal Gardens. Emily had chosen my wedding venue for her wedding without knowing I owned it. The irony would have been funny if it didn't burn through my chest like hot fire. I picked up my phone and opened the banking app again. The transfer glowed bright on the screen. $50,000 scheduled for tomorrow morning. Below it, in accounts Emily would never see, millions of dollars sat untouched. I stared at the numbers, then closed the app. A decision became crystal clear in my mind, sharp as glass. I would go to this wedding whether invited or not. Be there. Emily wanted elegant and fancy. She wanted to impress Marcus's partners with a venue she didn't know belonged to her embarrassing mother. Fine. She'd get exactly what she asked for, and she'd learn exactly who she chose to hurt and push away. 5 days passed since I sent the money. Saturday morning came with bright Florida sun and an empty mailbox. I sat at my kitchen table with coffee getting cold, staring through the window at the metal mailbox by my driveway. 1 week until the wedding. My neighbors got their invitations 4 days ago. I'd seen the fancy cream-colored envelopes in their hands at the community mailboxes. Heard them talking about the expensive venue over fences and in driveways. My mailbox stayed empty and bare. I checked my email for the 10th time. Nothing. Just spam bills and grocery store coupons. No wedding invitation at all. I picked up my phone and kept my voice light and casual. Sweetheart, I was just checking in. I haven't gotten the wedding invitation yet. Should I be watching for it in the mail? Or are you doing email invitations? Oh, Mom, the printer had some problems and delays. Emily's voice had that hollow quality I was learning to recognize. Background noise suggested she was busy with something else. Papers rustling. Marcus's voice far away in the distance. We're still writing addresses on them. So many guests, 200 people. I'll bring yours by myself personally. Don't worry about it at all. 200 people. But not me. Not yet. 'Kay, sweetheart. Just wanted to make sure. I hung up, not believing her at all. The lie felt obvious now that I knew what to listen for. The next morning, I drove to my usual coffee shop in Coral Gables. It was a routine I'd kept for 4 years, part of the modest lifestyle I'd built on purpose. The place knew my order by heart. Medium black coffee and sometimes a blueberry muffin. Simple and plain. Exactly what a struggling retired woman would choose. Margaret Wilson from 2 streets over spotted me while I waited for my order. She was in her 60s, a retired teacher, and a pleasant enough neighbor. She came over with that excited energy people have when they're about to share news they think you already know. Congratulations on Emily's wedding. The Crystal Gardens. Wow, that's the fancy place in Miami Beach, right? My hand froze while reaching for the coffee cup the person behind the counter just set down. The Crystal Gardens, I repeated slowly. Yes, that's wonderful and exciting. I've never been there, but I hear it's incredible and so beautiful. Must have cost a fortune to book. Margaret pulled out her phone and swiped through screens. Your daughter must have some serious connections to important people. Or did you help her get in there? She turned her phone toward me. The digital invitation filled the whole screen. Fancy design in cream and gold colors. Emily's and Marcus's names in beautiful fancy letters. Below them, the Crystal Gardens venue, Miami Beach. Saturday, September 15th. 4 o'clock ceremony. Party to follow after. My hand shook a little bit as I looked at her phone to read all the details. There in the bottom corner I saw it. The Crystal Gardens logo. My logo. The design I approved 16 years ago when we launched our best location. The crown jewel of my 9-venue empire. When did you get this? I heard myself ask. 4 days ago. Beautiful design, very fancy and elegant. The whole neighborhood is talking about it. Margaret put away her phone, not seeing the earthquake happening inside my chest. Your daughter really knows how to throw a fancy event. You must be so proud of her. Proud. I stood in the coffee shop with my order getting cold on the counter while Margaret kept talking about the venue's fanciness, the oceanfront terrace, the private helicopter landing pad. How impossible it was to book unless you knew someone really important. Every detail she mentioned was something I'd designed, built, and paid for. I'd personally watched over the terrace construction. I'd insisted on the helicopter pad despite the hard building challenges. Emily had chosen my venue, probably recommended by Marcus's wealthy contacts, without knowing her embarrassing mother owned it. The irony should have been crushing. Instead, it was covered by something simpler and sharper. My neighbor got an invitation. I didn't. I thanked Margaret, took my coffee, and drove home. The 30-minute drive felt longer because I couldn't help myself. I took a detour past the Crystal Gardens, parked across the street, and watched the Sunday brunch crowd walk through doors I'd chosen. Watched valet parking attendants park cars at a station I'd designed. Watched the business I'd built being prepared for my daughter's wedding. The wedding I apparently wasn't invited to. Back home I tried to make sense of it. Maybe Emily wanted to hand-deliver my invitation personally. Maybe she was planning something special just for me. Maybe the printer really did have delays and Margaret's arrived first by coincidence. But I remembered her phone conversation with David. We can't have her showing up in those clothes. I remembered her uncomfortable looks at my house and her relief when I agreed to the money so quickly without fighting. That evening, I sat in my living room surrounded by the simple things I'd chosen after Tom's death. The worn furniture, the old TV, the faded carpet. I'd lived here for 4 years, testing relationships, seeing who valued me versus who valued my money. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder marked Emily. Inside were receipts, bank statements, and canceled checks. University of Miami school fees. $85,000 across 4 years. Her first car, a safe, reliable Honda. $16,000. Helping with her apartment rent and covering 7 months when she couldn't find work. Another $10,000. Every bit of help was written down. A paper trail of a mother's love measured in dollars. I spread them across my kitchen table and added them up in my head. Over 35 years, I'd given Emily roughly $380,000 in direct money help. Not counting Christmas gifts, birthday presents, or the countless smaller things parents pay for without keeping track. She'd taken everything without question. Now she was too ashamed to invite me to her wedding. I picked up my phone to call her again, typed 3 different text messages, deleted them all, put the phone down, and picked up Tom's picture instead. The one from the Crystal Gardens opening day with both of us smiling at the camera, proud of what we'd built together. I sat in the growing darkness without turning on any lights. 4 days crawled by slowly like snails. I went through the normal actions of daily life, checking mail all the time, refreshing email constantly, watching my phone like a hawk. No invitation, no call, no sign that I'd given Emily $50,000 1 week ago. By Tuesday evening, with the wedding 5 days away, I realized I'd been making excuses for something that couldn't be excused. Picked up my phone. Emily's contact filled the screen. This time I didn't delete the message or hesitate at all. I made the call. The phone rang 3 times before Emily answered. 5 days until the wedding. 4 days since Margaret showed me the invitation to my own venue. 96 hours of making excuses and hoping. The waiting ended right now. "Hey Mom, what's up?" Her voice had that bright fake cheerfulness I'd learned to recognize so well. I stood on my back porch watching darkness settle over Coral Gables and got rid of all pretending. "Emily, I need to know something. Am I invited to your wedding? Yes or no answer, please." Silence stretched across the phone line like a rubber band. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. I could hear her breathing and hear Marcus's voice in the background asking something I couldn't quite hear. The pause told me everything before she even spoke a single word. "Mom, this is going to be a really fancy elite event." Her voice had changed, lost the fake warmth, and settled into something colder and harder. "Marcus's partners from his company will be there. Wealthy clients and important people from his network. Someone in your money situation. You'd feel out of place and uncomfortable. It's not personal at all." I held the porch railing tight, forcing myself to stay calm, to listen, to let her finish talking. "Are you saying I'm not invited because I don't have enough money? Because I drive an old car and live in a small house?" "It's more complicated than just that." The words came faster now, like she'd been waiting to say them, practicing them in her head. "You're a wonderful mother. You gave me everything you had. Literally your last $50,000. I appreciate that sacrifice more than you know and understand. But this wedding represents Marcus's career and our future together. We need to show the right image to people." I paused. I said nothing. I let the silence do the work. "In those clothes you wear, driving that old car, you'd stand out for all the wrong reasons. Marcus's partners will be judging him. Judging us as a couple. This isn't about love, Mom. It's about how things look, about professional success. Surely you understand business works that way sometimes." "I understand business very well," I said quietly. "You'd be miserable anyway, Mom." Her voice changed, becoming almost like she was doing me a favor. "These people talk about investments, about real estate properties, about international business deals. What would you talk about? Your retirement. Your small house. You deserve to spend the day relaxing at home, not feeling bad and small around successful rich people. We're actually doing this for you as much as for us." The words sounded rehearsed and practiced carefully. I realized this wasn't a quick decision she reached right now on the phone. They'd planned to leave me out from the very beginning. The printer delays, the promise to deliver my invitation personally. All lies, buying time. Hoping I wouldn't notice until it was too late to fight back or object. "I understand perfectly clearly," I said. Thank you for your honesty, Emily. I paused, thinking of Tom, thinking of the man who loved me when I was just a waitress making minimum wage, who built an empire right alongside me, who said we should raise our daughter with strong values and humility. The man who died believing Emily had learned those important lessons. Enjoy your wedding, sweetheart. Your father would have been so proud to see the woman you've become. I ended the call before she could say anything back. For a long moment, I stood in the darkness of my porch with the phone resting in my palm, feeling something shift and change inside my chest. The hurt stayed there, sharp and real and deep as any pain I'd felt since losing Tom. But underneath it, something harder turned to stone. Something that had been forming since I overheard Emily's mocking phone call, since Margaret showed me the invitation, since I realized my daughter chose my venue without knowing it was mine. For 4 years since Tom's death, I'd lived simply and modestly to see people's true character and hearts. Mission accomplished. I'd seen my daughter's truth and heard it spoken in her own exact words. Now she'd see mine. I walked inside, turned on every single light in my house, and opened my laptop. I logged into my real banking accounts. Not the small checking account Emily knew about, but the ones holding the fortune from 21 years of building wedding venues, from smart investments, from the sale of 3 locations last year. The numbers glowed bright on the screen. $195 million. I opened a new browser tab and searched Robinson R-44 Helicopter Rental Miami. Another tab. Helicopter Landing Crystal Gardens, Miami Beach. I pulled up my contacts and found Sarah Mitchell's number. She was the manager of the Crystal Gardens venue. My venue. Emily's wedding location. My fingers stopped over the keyboard. Not yet. I needed to think this through carefully and smartly, the way I'd built my business. Step by step with attention to timing and small details. I pulled Tom's picture from the other room and set it beside my laptop. I wanted him watching as I made these choices. I wanted to feel him near me. If Emily wanted a fancy elite event at an exclusive venue, I'd give her exactly that and way more than she bargained for. The hurt mother was gone now. The smart businesswoman, the woman who turned a single beachside party space into a 9-venue empire, who made million-dollar deals, who understood exactly how power worked in the real world, that woman was back and ready. I opened a new document and typed a title. Saturday, September 15th, Arrival Plan. My fingers stopped over the keyboard for just a second. Then I began typing steadily and carefully, building the plan piece by piece. 5 days to prepare for the most important entrance of my entire life. The clock showed 10:52 at night. I wouldn't sleep tonight. I didn't need to. Wednesday morning came with bright sun and clear purpose. I'd spent the whole night planning strategies, thinking about timing, building the foundation. Now I needed people to help me. I loaded my laptop bag with documents, business ownership papers, bank statements, and the folder of receipts showing every dollar I'd given Emily over 35 years. Then I drove my old car toward downtown Miami. The tall glass towers reflected morning light, making the city look cleaner and shinier than it really was. I parked in the garage under Rebecca Martinez's building and took the elevator to the 24th floor. Rebecca had been my lawyer for 21 years, handled all the paperwork for Peterson's elite venues, and knew every detail of my hidden wealth. She was also the only person I'd told about my decision to live modestly after Tom died. Her assistant showed me into the conference room with a view of the bay. Rebecca came in moments later with coffee in her hand. Her usual professional smile disappeared when she saw my face. What happened? Tell me everything. I told her the whole story. Emily's rejection, her explanation that I was too poor and would embarrass her, that I should stay home. The venue being the Crystal Gardens, my own wedding venue that I owned. Rebecca's calm face cracked open. She said, "What? That you're too poor for her wedding? At your own venue?" She put down her coffee so hard that liquid spilled over the rim and onto the table. "This is way beyond disrespectful. What do you want to do about it?" I spread documents across her shiny conference table. Ownership papers, financial statements, the timeline of my 4-year test. I want to go to my daughter's wedding. I'll arrive by helicopter at 4:30 Saturday afternoon, land on the pad I had installed 6 years ago, and walk right into my venue. I won't mess up the ceremony at all. I'll just be there standing quietly. The truth will do the rest of the work. Rebecca studied me for a long moment, then nodded firmly. Lawyer mode turned on instantly. She pulled out her phone and started making calls right away. First to a helicopter charter service she'd used for business clients. Robinson R44. Saturday afternoon. Leaving at 4:15. Yes, landing at the Crystal Gardens venue, Miami Beach. Checking that the pad can fit it safely. She talked about price, checked insurance, and locked in the booking while I listened carefully. You'll need a witness there, Rebecca said after hanging up. Someone who can prove and verify what happened. I'm clearing my whole Saturday afternoon to be there. We spent 3 hours planning every detail, timing, legal rules, what I could say, what I couldn't say. Rebecca made notes in her neat handwriting, building the plan that would protect me from any claims of causing trouble or sneaking in where I didn't belong. It's your property, she said firmly. She rented the venue space, but you're the owner. Legally, you have every single right to be there. No question about it. After leaving Rebecca's office, I drove to Miami Beach, to the Crystal Gardens. I hadn't visited in 4 years, part of my plan to stay invisible, my test to see who valued me versus my money. I parked in the employee parking lot and went in through the service entrance. The kitchen smelled like garlic, fresh fish, and lemon. Kitchen workers moved efficiently and quickly. Lunch service was in full motion. Sarah Mitchell almost dropped her clipboard when she saw me walking through the kitchen. Mrs. Peterson. We'd talked only by email for years. She thought she reported to a business management company. She didn't know the owner's actual face or who I really was. I asked to speak privately somewhere quiet, and she led me to her small office with a view of the ocean terrace outside. Sarah, I need to tell you something important and I need your help with it. I explained everything carefully. My daughter's wedding here. Her belief that I was poor and struggling. Her choice to leave me out completely. Sarah's face went through shock, confusion, then real anger. Wait, Emily Peterson is your daughter. The bride who's been emailing me for 3 months about every little detail. She pulled up the wedding contract on her computer and showed me every single detail and rule. She had her fiancé call last week asking for a discount because they know people. I told them our rates don't change for anyone. They paid $60,000. More than the $50,000 I'd given her. She'd spent my money plus added extra on top, all while leaving me out of the event completely. How can I help you? Sarah asked with fire in her eyes. Saturday afternoon, 4:30 exactly on the dot. A helicopter will land on the north landing pad. That'll be me arriving. Make sure the area is totally clear and safe. And when I walk inside the venue, just tell people who I am. If anyone asks any questions. Sarah's jaw got tight and her face got hard. It would be my absolute pleasure to do that. I walked through my wedding venue before leaving, touched the beautiful wooden bar I'd picked out 16 years ago, looked at the ocean view through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. I saw the framed picture on the wall. Opening day. Tom and me cutting a ribbon together. Sarah had kept it clean and cared for all these years. The venue was beautiful, successful, and mine. And Emily had chosen it without even knowing. That evening back home, my phone buzzed with a text message from Emily. Mom, please don't come to the Crystal Gardens on Saturday. I know you might want to see the venue from outside, but it would be too painful for you to watch through the windows. Stay home and rest. We'll visit you Sunday and show you pictures. Love you so much. I read it 3 times slowly. She actually thought I might stand outside my own wedding venue, watching through windows like a beggar on the street. The talking down to me in those 3 words, love you so much, made my jaw clench tight. I didn't write back at all. Instead, I opened my closet and pulled out the garment bag I hadn't touched in 4 years. Inside was my designer suit, custom made in navy blue with a subtle pattern, Italian leather shoes, and platinum earrings that had belonged to my mother. I'd worn this suit to business meetings with investors, to venue openings, to charity events with Tom by my side. I'd wear it again on Saturday. I tried it on, standing in front of my bedroom mirror. The woman looking back wasn't the modest retiree in plain shirts and worn pants. This was the businesswoman who built an empire from nothing. The wife who stood beside Tom at ribbon cuttings. The mother who deserved respect and dignity. I hung the suit on my closet door where I could see it clearly. I set my alarm for early Saturday morning. I pulled up the helicopter charter confirmation on my phone. Robinson R44. Leaving at 4:15. Landing at the Crystal Gardens at 4:30. 4 days until Saturday. 96 hours until Emily's wedding. I looked at Tom's picture on my nightstand. The same image that hung in the Crystal Gardens venue. Both of us young and hopeful and so proud of what we'd built. She chose our venue, Tom, I whispered into the quiet room. Of all the wedding places in Miami, she chose ours. And she doesn't even know it's ours. The irony would have made Tom laugh hard, then cry, then ask me what I planned to do about it. Now she'd see the truth with her own eyes. The helicopter noise was surprisingly quiet with the headphones on my ears. A steady hum beneath the pilot's occasional updates and comments. Below us, Miami Beach spread out in pretty patterns. White buildings, blue swimming pools, the darker blue of the ocean water. I wore my designer suit with the platinum earrings catching afternoon light through the window. Crystal Gardens in 2 minutes, Mrs. Peterson. The pilot's voice crackled through the headset. I leaned forward, watching the coastline get sharper and clearer. Then I saw it. My wedding venue. The ocean terrace was filled with people in fancy clothes. Colorful dresses and dark suits creating a celebration picture. I couldn't see Emily from this high up, but I knew she was down there greeting guests, playing perfect bride, believing her poor mother was home alone and sad. Circling once, then coming in from the north, the pilot said. I'd asked for the circle. I wanted everyone to notice. I wanted the big show. The helicopter turned and I watched heads turn upward on the terrace below. People pointed up at us and shielded their eyes from the sun. Phones appeared in hands, taking pictures and videos of this surprise arrival. We finished the circle and came down toward the landing pad. Sarah had cleared it perfectly. No tables, no decorations. Just the marked helicopter pad I'd built 6 years ago for exactly this reason. The Robinson R44 touched down at exactly 4:30. Through the window I saw the crowd maybe 50 feet away. Talking stopped. Champagne glasses froze in mid-air. Every face turned toward the helicopter. The pilot cut the engine. Wind from the rotors whipped through the palm trees. I opened the door and stepped out carefully. The designer suit fit like armor protecting me. Italian leather shoes touched concrete. I walked away from the helicopter with slow measured steps. Not rushing, letting people see me clearly and completely. Whispers started spreading like wildfire. Phones rose higher, recording everything. Then I saw her standing there. Emily stood near the terrace entrance in her wedding dress, all pristine and white. A champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. Marcus beside her in his perfect tuxedo. His face going through confusion to recognition to alarm in 3 seconds. Emily moved first. She rushed toward me with her dress trailing behind. Marcus followed, looking uncertain. Her face showed everything I needed to see. Shock, anger, embarrassment, and finally defensive anger. She reached me breathless with words tumbling out too fast to understand. What are you doing here? Where did you get that helicopter? That fancy suit? Did you rent it? Did you borrow money from someone? Are you trying to embarrass me at my own wedding? Her voice got louder with each question she asked. Nearby guests turned to watch the drama unfold. Marcus arrived beside her and placed a warning hand on her arm. His eyes scanned his colleagues and clients, thinking about social damage and what people would think. I didn't answer her questions at all. I just smiled, calm and knowing. I think it's time everyone knew the real truth about everything. I walked past her toward the venue's main entrance. She followed behind me, protesting loudly. Marcus followed, demanding explanations and answers. Guests moved aside for this strange parade. The helicopter mother, the chasing bride, the worried groom trying to control damage. Sarah Mitchell stood at the entrance holding the door open wide. Her face stayed carefully neutral and professional, but she nodded once as I passed. Professional courtesy between employer and employee. We entered the main hall. I walked directly to the far wall, to the photograph that had hung there for 16 years. More guests followed us inside. 50 people, maybe more, pulled by drama and confusion and curiosity. Emily and Marcus tried to stand between me and the crowd, but I stepped aside and pointed to the wall. The photograph was 4 feet wide and crystal clear. Tom and me standing in front of the Crystal Gardens on opening day, June 2009. Both younger. Tom handsome in his suit. Me radiant in yellow. Behind us, the venue's name shining in brand new letters. Big scissors in our hands. Red ribbon cut and falling to the ground. Below the photo, a shiny brass sign. The Crystal Gardens. Founded by Tom and Margaret Peterson. June 20, 2009. First location of Peterson's elite venues. I turned to face the crowd. Emily, Marcus, their friends, business people, family members, all watching and waiting. Several phones still recording every second. I placed my hand on the photograph's frame gently. I'd like you all to meet my late husband, Tom. This is us 16 years ago, opening the Crystal Gardens venue. My voice carried clearly through the hall. I'm Margaret Peterson. I own this wedding venue and 8 others across Florida. My daughter is getting married here today at my venue. The wedding she told me I was too poor to come to. The words hung in the air like smoke. Silence fell. Complete. Total. Absolute. 50 guests stared at the photograph, then at me, then at Emily with wide eyes. Someone's phone was still recording. The small red light blinked steadily in the quiet. Marcus's face had lost all its color and turned white as paper. His hand dropped from Emily's arm. Emily stood frozen like a statue with her mouth open and no words coming out at all. Her champagne glass, somehow still in her hand, started shaking and trembling. Then someone in the back started typing fast on their phone. Then another person. Then another. The name Margaret Peterson being searched, Googled, investigated right there. I could almost hear it. The sound of my secret ending. Truth spreading through Wi-Fi signals and data like a wave. Sarah Mitchell stepped forward, breaking the heavy silence. It's absolutely true. Mrs. Peterson is the owner. I've managed this venue for her for 9 years. More typing. More searching. More faces lit up by phone screens glowing. Emily finally found her voice. Came out as a whisper. No, that's not. You can't be. That's impossible. I turned to face my daughter fully and directly. I looked into her eyes and let her see something she'd never seen before. Not anger. Not hurt. But quiet justice. Can be Emily. I always have been the owner. The silence lasted maybe 4 seconds. Then phones started buzzing with search results coming in. A woman near the back, one of Marcus's colleagues in an expensive suit and designer purse, spoke first. She was reading from her screen with growing shock in her voice. Peterson's elite venues. 9 locations across Florida. Estimated net worth $160 to $210 million. The word spread through the crowd like a disease. More phones lit up faces. I watched the discovery spread like a wildfire. One person finding information, showing their neighbor. Both of them searching deeper, confirming details, looking up at me, then back at their screens in disbelief. Forbes article from 2020, someone else announced loudly. Florida's hidden wedding empire. The Peterson success story. A man in his 60s held up his phone showing a business profile. Margaret Peterson, founder and CEO, Peterson's Elite Venues LLC. University of Miami Business School. 42 years in hospitality industry. The proof cascaded down like a waterfall. Pictures of me at business events, ribbon cuttings, charity dinners, all from before Tom's death, all showing the wealthy businesswoman I used to publicly be. Marcus's boss, a silver-haired man I recognized from the ceremony rehearsal earlier, stared at his phone, then at Marcus. His face darkened with understanding and anger. Sarah Mitchell stepped forward. Her voice carried professional authority through the murmurs and whispers. Everything Mrs. Peterson said is completely true. I've managed the Crystal Gardens for 9 years, reporting directly to her. She owns this venue and 8 others. She's been my employer since I started in this industry. The confirmation from a neutral person, someone with no reason to lie at all, made the truth solid as concrete. Murmurs grew louder and angrier. A woman pushed through the crowd toward Marcus. His sister Patricia, face flushed red, hissing something I couldn't hear but could definitely understand from her angry gestures and pointing. Marcus moved suddenly, coming toward me with forced fake enthusiasm. His hand extended, his smile too wide and fake. Mrs. Peterson, what an incredible surprise. Emily must have wanted to keep the mystery. Keep your success private and humble. What a brilliant strategy. Very wise and smart. His voice projected for the audience, trying to rewrite the story. Make this seem planned and intentional. I didn't shake his hand at all. There's no strategy, Marcus. I spoke clearly, making sure everyone heard every word. My daughter told me very clearly that I was too poor for her elite fancy wedding. She said someone in my financial situation would feel uncomfortable around successful people. She chose my own venue without knowing I owned it. Emily broke out of her frozen state. Tears streamed down her face. Wedding makeup ran in dark streaks down her cheeks. She reached for me with trembling hands. Mommy, please. I didn't know at all. I thought you lived so simply because you were struggling. I was trying to. But her words scattered and fell apart when she saw the guests' faces. The judgment in their eyes. The phone still recording. She turned on Marcus instead, her voice sharp and accusing. You said she couldn't afford to be here. You said we needed to protect our image. This is your fault, not mine. Marcus's face hardened like stone. Their unity fractured publicly and completely. The stress revealing what their relationship actually was. Status and money, not love. I addressed the crowd one final time. The wedding is fully paid for. The ceremony will go ahead as planned and scheduled. I won't disrupt my daughter's day any further than this. But I wanted you all to know the truth about what happened here. About who decided a mother wasn't worthy of her daughter's wedding because she drove an old car and lived in a small house. I turned to Emily and looked at her directly in the eyes. Your father built this business with me from nothing. He would have been heartbroken to see what you've become and the choices you've made. Then I walked toward the exit door. Sarah opened it for me. I didn't look back even once. Behind me, the murmur grew into loud, open conversation. Scandal spreading through 200 guests who'd carry this story across Miami's social circles by tomorrow morning. Outside, ocean breeze hit my face and felt refreshing. The helicopter waited on the pad, ready to take me home. Sarah followed me outside. Mrs. Peterson, do you want me to go ahead with the ceremony as planned? I stopped walking and turned, thinking carefully. The ceremony was supposed to start in 20 minutes. 200 guests were already here. The venue was completely prepared and ready. I thought about Tom, about grace and mercy, about not becoming mean and vindictive. Yes, let them have their wedding. They've already paid for it in ways money can't measure or buy back. I climbed into the helicopter carefully. As it lifted off into the air, I saw the terrace below getting smaller. Guests clustering in groups, animated conversations, phones to ears making calls. The scandal spreading beyond these walls and boundaries. By tomorrow morning, everyone in Miami's business community would know exactly what happened here today. Emily and Marcus's social destruction had only just begun. Sunday morning arrived with bright, relentless sunlight and my phone ringing constantly without stopping. I sat on my terrace with coffee getting cold, watching Emily's name appear on the screen for the 25th time. 9:45 in the morning. The calls started at 7 o'clock. I didn't answer any of them. Between calls, text messages appeared one after another. Mom, please answer. I need to explain everything. I'm so sorry. Please give me a chance. I read each one carefully, deleted none of them, but responded to none. Across town in the expensive Coconut Grove house Emily and Marcus were renting for $7,500 monthly. I knew from the lease she'd asked me to help with last year. The newlyweds weren't enjoying their first day of marriage at all. I didn't know this directly myself, but Rebecca Martinez texted me mid-morning with updates she'd heard through professional channels and networks. Marcus was pacing between rooms, his phone showing profile views from colleagues, carefully worded questions coming in. His boss's firm message requesting an urgent Monday meeting to discuss things. The story spread fast on Sunday. What started with 200 wedding guests became 2,000 social media views, became 20,000 as people shared the tale. Wealthy mother uninvited from daughter's wedding at her own venue. The story was impossible to resist. My phone showed notifications from former business friends reaching out. People I hadn't spoken to in 4 years, suddenly curious about my return to being visible. I ignored those two. The only message I thought about answering came from Rebecca. I heard it went exactly as you planned. Well done. Legal boundaries held perfectly. Call when you're ready to talk. I wasn't ready yet. Monday morning, Marcus got the summons to meet. Rebecca heard about it by noon. Professional networks in Miami's financial world talked, and word traveled fast when someone notable stumbled and fell. Marcus arrived at his downtown office at 9:50. 10 minutes early for the 10 o'clock meeting. The receptionist wouldn't meet his eyes at all. 3 senior partners sat across from him in the cold conference room, his work file open on the table between them. Rebecca got the details later from a legal assistant whose firm shared the same building. The lead partner, the same man who'd been at the wedding, spoke directly and clearly. Marcus, we've received calls from 5 major clients since Saturday afternoon. They're uncomfortable continuing business relationships with someone who displays such poor judgment in personal matters. If you'll exclude your own mother-in-law from a family event over thinking she was poor, what does that say about your values? Your ethics? Your decision-making with their money and investments? Marcus tried explaining. Tried spinning the story. Tried claiming it was all a misunderstanding. The partners listened politely and delivered their decision firmly. Effective immediately, Marcus was moved from wealth management to internal operations. Back office position. Very minimal client contact. Salary dropped from $260,000 to $160,000 annually. 38% cut. Corner office taken away and reassigned. Assistant transferred to someone else. Book of clients given to other people. This isn't firing you, the lead partner clarified coldly. Consider it an opportunity to rebuild your reputation. Demonstrate better judgment going forward in your career. Marcus left the meeting at 10:50. By noon, he'd boxed up his personal items in a cardboard box. By 1:15, he'd moved to a windowless office on the 3rd floor with no view at all. That afternoon, Patricia Holmes called Marcus. Unlike Emily's pleading calls to me, Patricia's anger needed no voicemail or message. Her voice cut through the phone like a knife. Rebecca heard about this from Patricia's husband, a business lawyer she played tennis with monthly. You've destroyed our entire family's reputation in one day. Mother and father are completely humiliated. Everyone at the country club knows exactly what you did to that poor woman. You're a financial consultant, Marcus. Research and knowing details is literally your job. And you couldn't even look up your own mother-in-law's net worth before insulting her to her face. The call ended with her firm demand that he and Emily skip all upcoming family events. Until this blows over completely. It wouldn't blow over. Not for a long time. By Monday evening, Emily had called me 51 times total. I'd listened to none of the voicemails, but saw the number increasing steadily. Her text messages grew more desperate with each one. Detailed apologies. Explanations of her thinking and reasoning. Promises to change and be better. Please forgiveness. I sat in my modest living room, the same room that had embarrassed her so much, and read each message with great care. I saw the clear pattern emerging. First, she apologized for the misunderstanding and confusion. Then for not realizing my wealth and success. Then for hurting my feelings. But nowhere, not once, did she apologize for the real main issue. Being ashamed of me as a person. Valuing money over real relationships. Choosing status over family love. She was sorry she got caught red-handed. Sorry for the consequences that followed. But not truly sorry for who she'd revealed herself to be deep inside. My phone buzzed again. Emily's name lighting up. 50-second call. Picked up the phone. Not to answer it. Not yet. Just to hold it in my hand. To think about what came next in this story. I'd proven my point to everyone. The truth was public and out there. Marcus's career was badly damaged. Emily's social standing was completely shattered. But what now? What came after this? Tom's photograph sat across the table from me. I imagined his gentle voice in my head. You've shown them who you are, Margaret. Now show them who you can still be. Show them grace. I set the phone down without answering it. Tomorrow I'd call Rebecca Martinez. We'd discuss the financial reality Emily and Marcus now faced together. The expensive rental house they couldn't afford on Marcus's reduced salary. The debt they'd piled up planning an extravagant fancy wedding. The bills coming due in just weeks. The social punishment was complete and total. But the real lesson about money, about values, about consequences, that lesson was just beginning its first chapter. And this time I'd teach it properly and completely. Tuesday morning found them at their kitchen table surrounded by bills and bank statements spread across expensive marble. Marcus's calculator sat among the papers with numbers glowing like accusations. We spent $85,000 on that wedding. Marcus's voice was hollow and empty. 50 from your mother. 35 from our savings. Our savings are completely gone now. My salary dropped by $100,000 annually. That's $8,300 less every month after taxes. Your salary is about to drop by $20,000 when they move you. This house costs $7,500 monthly. Add utilities, cars, insurance, food, everything else. He pushed the calculator toward Emily hard. We're underwater by at least $3,500 every single month. We can't make it work. Emily's laptop showed her company's work portal. A meeting request from her supervisor glowed with the subject line. Discussion required urgently Monday. She'd been avoiding opening it for days, but now she clicked it slowly. The email was worded professionally, but the message was clear as glass. Recent personal events have raised serious concerns about client relationships and company image. We need to discuss your role moving forward immediately. They're going to demote me, she whispered, voice breaking. Marcus slumped back hard in his chair. We need to find a much cheaper place to live. Or you need to keep your full salary somehow. Or... He trailed off into silence. The unspoken option hung between them like a dark cloud. Call her mother. Beg for help. He's not going to help us at all. Emily's tears came suddenly like a flood. I told her she was too poor for my wedding. I said she'd embarrass me in front of everyone. Why would she help us now after that? David's frustration boiled over into anger. This is your fault. Your complete misjudgment of her situation. Your willingness to exclude family for status and image. Jennifer's head snapped up fast. You convinced me to do it. You emphasized image and professional connections constantly. You made me feel ashamed of my own mother. This is as much your fault as it is mine. The argument revealed the truth they'd been avoiding for days. They were both responsible. Both guilty. Both complicit. Both now paying the price together. Tuesday afternoon, Emily's meeting with her supervisor confirmed all their worst fears. Reassignment to a reduced role meant salary cut from $78,000 to $58,000. Another $20,000 gone annually. Another blow. By Wednesday morning they'd reached absolute rock bottom. Marcus sat on their expensive couch staring at abstract art they'd bought to impress guests at parties. Emily stood at the window overlooking their manicured yard. The yard they could no longer afford to maintain and keep nice. We need to go see my mother, she said quietly into the silence. Not to ask for money. To apologize. Really apologize from the heart. Marcus looked at her with tired eyes. You think she'll even see us after what we did? I don't know, Emily admitted honestly. But it's the only honest thing left to do now. Wednesday afternoon, they drove to Coral Gables in silence. Emily had called ahead and left a voicemail asking if they could visit, promising no excuses or lies. Just honesty. I texted back one single word. Fine. They sat in their car outside my house for 6 minutes, neither wanting to face me, both knowing they absolutely must. The house looked different to them now. Not shabby and poor, but intentional and planned. Not struggling but deliberate and chosen. The peeling paint was camouflage and a test. The overgrown lawn was a challenge. I opened the door before they could knock. I'd been watching them sit in the driveway through my window, working up courage and strength. They look so different now. Not the confident couple from 3 weeks ago, but humbled, worn down, uncertain about everything. Come in, I said simply. I led them to the terrace out back. The same cheap plastic chairs Emily had judged so harshly before. We sat in silence for a long moment. Ocean breeze carrying sounds from distant neighbors and birds. Emily spoke first, her voice breaking apart. Mom, I was horrible to you. I valued money and status more than you as a person. I was ashamed of you, and that shame was all about me, not you at all. You deserved so much better. You deserved a daughter who saw your worth regardless of your bank account or your car. Marcus followed, his voice steady but very quiet. I pushed her to exclude you from the wedding. I was obsessed with image, with what my colleagues would think of us. I convinced her that having you there would hurt our reputation and career. I was completely wrong about everything that actually matters in life. I watched their faces closely, measured their sincerity carefully. These weren't practiced, rehearsed words. This was real, genuine remorse and regret. I sat back in my plastic chair and looked at them across the table. Tom's photograph was visible through the screen door, watching from inside the house. I saw my daughter's tears. Not fake manipulative crying but genuine grief and pain. I saw Marcus's slumped shoulders. Not defensive posturing but true honest remorse. This was what I wanted all along. Not their complete destruction, but their understanding. Not their financial collapse, but their moral awakening. I took a long deep breath. I didn't reveal my wealth to punish you cruelly. I did it to teach you an important lesson. The question now is simple. Did you actually learn it? Emily looked up with hope flickering through her tears. Marcus met my eyes directly for the first time since arriving. I stood up slowly and stretched. Come back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Meet me at the Crystal Gardens venue. I have a proposal for both of you. I walked inside, leaving them sitting on the terrace alone. As they drove away slowly, I heard Emily whisper through the open window softly. Do you think she'll forgive us? Marcus didn't answer at all. Neither of them knew for sure. But tomorrow morning they'd find out the answer. Thursday morning, 9:50. They pulled into the Crystal Gardens parking lot 10 minutes early. The venue where their wedding disaster unfolded 6 days ago felt different now. Not a place of celebration and joy, but a place of judgment and possibly redemption. At 9:58 they walked inside nervously. Sarah Mitchell greeted them at the entrance, her expression professionally neutral. She led them through the main hall, past the photograph of Tom and me on opening day, to my private office overlooking the beautiful terrace and ocean. I sat behind a simple desk wearing a plain shirt and comfortable pants, looking like the modest mother they thought they knew. I gestured for them to sit down. The office was quiet. Just the three of us and waves through an open window. I've thought a lot about your apology. I believe you're both sincere and genuine. You've experienced real consequences. And consequences teach what words cannot teach. I'm willing to forgive you completely. But forgiveness doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means moving forward with clear understanding between us. I paused, letting that settle and sink in. Trust has to be rebuilt carefully. Rebuilding requires action, not just promises. Emily nodded, crying quietly. Marcus sat forward, paying attention. I slid a folder across my desk toward Marcus. Job description for operations manager. Peterson's Elite Venues. You'll manage accounts, budgeting, vendor relations across 9 wedding venues. Salary is $90,000 annually with full benefits. You'll report to my chief financial officer. Work in a back office at corporate headquarters. No client schmoozing. No status games at all. Just real honest work managing real money with real integrity. Marcus opened the folder and read slowly and carefully. His finger paused on the salary line. Much less than half his original income. He looked up at me with humility. I'd be honored to accept. I know this is much less than I made before. But I also know I need to prove I understand what real work means. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I turned to Emily next. Your father started a foundation before he died. The Tom Peterson Community Fund. It helps elderly people who've been abandoned by their families. Companionship, grocery delivery, home repairs, real human connection. He ran it himself for 3 years before cancer took him away. I've kept it going strong, but it needs more hands and hearts. I slid another folder toward her carefully. I want you to volunteer there. 20 hours every week. Minimum 6 months. You'll meet people who are exactly where you thought I was. Elderly, modest means, isolated and alone. You'll learn what real value looks like when money isn't the measure of worth. Emily opened the folder. She saw photos of elderly faces smiling. Mission statements about dignity and community. Yes, I'll do it, she said firmly. I want to do it. I need to do it. I stood and walked to the window overlooking the ocean and palm trees. I'm also starting a new program. The Tom Peterson Family Healing Fund. $6 million to support families working through conflicts like ours. Counseling, mediation, financial education, teaching values. Your situation isn't unique at all. Many families break apart over misunderstandings about money and worth. I turned back to them. You'll be the first case study for this program. If you do the work, Marcus in his job, Emily volunteering and helping others, and you rebuild your values together, your story becomes proof that people can change. That consequences can be teachers, not just punishments. They looked at each other, then back at me with understanding. They got it. This wasn't just about them anymore. This was bigger than one family. I sat back down. My voice softened. I didn't do any of this to destroy you both. I did it because I love you, Emily. You're my daughter. You're all I have left of your father. But love doesn't mean accepting everything. Sometimes love means showing people hard truths. And now we heal together. If you like this story, please hit the like button, subscribe to Granny's Voice, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.